Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tech Informist, where we will inform you, our listeners, about the technological industry and apps you should download on your favorite gadgets and much, much more. My name is JJ Hammond. Are you ready to be informed? Of course you are. Up first, our guest for the show. He is currently a network systems administrator at Penn State with a passion for technology, particularly the Android platform, a Google Glass Explorer who also is a contributor for Phandroid, also hosts an Android news-focused podcast, lives in Pennsylvania with his wife and children, the Androidified Derek Ross. Hello and welcome to the show, sir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being on. Thanks for agreeing to come on our show. We really, really appreciate it. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm super stoked about talking with you, especially with just this holiday season. It's crazy talk, and it's going to be a lot of fun. However, this show is not complete without my good friend, and I mean that, founder of the show and the STL Tech Talk and the TechInformist.com websites, the uncanny Kevin Harvell. Say hello, Kevin.
Hello, everybody. JJ, Derek, thank you so much for joining us. Followed you on Google Plus for so long, and glad to have you finally on one of our shows.
Yeah, glad to be here. You know, and during the introduction, you said that I'm a glass explorer, and I kind of feel bad because I'm not actually wearing glass. So people that are tuning in, listening on the podcast, just pretend I'm wearing glass. And those of you that are watching on YouTube or watching live, sorry to let you down.
Oh, we thought you were just wearing a top secret version that nobody's
Right.
seen.
That's coming out of that's version 5.
Yeah. Right. It's like Geordie LaForge in the newer episodes where he actually has implants.
Yeah.
So they're there. But no, that's funny. So you've been stalking our guests for a long time. Kind of creepy, Kevin. Let's move on. And don't forget, everyone, you can visit the TechInformist.com for all of our past shows. And if you want to join in the conversation, you can follow us on social media platforms. Mostly just go ahead and hit us up on Twitter at Tech Informist or at Kevin Harvell, that's 2 L's, or at JJ Hammond Music. Honestly, I don't want to spell those out. You just need to figure it out on your own. If you are in the St. Louis area, you should check out stltechtalk.com. That was kind of a dickish thing to say, but I sincerely don't like spelling things out because it's just weird. Also, if you want to learn more about the world of coding, go and check out our show, Codecast by STL Tech Talk. And don't forget, you can interact with the show by sending us feedback to contact@thetechinformist.com. And again, we will answer questions in a timely manner if you send that to us via social media while we're talking, and we'll do some recap from other previous shows on this show here in just a little bit where necessary. I would like to take a moment to thank the sponsors of the show. Unidev. If you dream it, they can build it. They create custom software, end-to-end development, and beautiful web design. They have creative marketing solutions. They've been in business for the last 25 years, and they have 200-plus customers, 24/7 support. I swear, you will not be let down or left out in the creation of your dreams. So if you want software development, content management systems, mobile development, e-commerce solutions, digital marketing, and hosting, go to our website, stltechtalk.com, and click on their banner. It's Unidev. You can't miss it. It's right in the center. It's like a bullseye. And get the high-quality service you deserve today. Also, go to their Facebook page. It's a Unidev, and like their page. They would appreciate you and love you long time. You will appreciate that. Plus, if we get them to 1,000 likes, they're going to do an awesome little video about thanking everybody for liking their page. So let's get to the reason why we're all here, and that's not to talk and listen to me anymore. That's to talk to Derek Ross. Derek, tell us a little bit about what got you into technology and what got you started.
Well, I guess we'll go back to the beginning, and so I've always been a big tech geek, computer geek, into computers when I was a teenager, doing all the things I can with technology and computers, and then we'll fast forward a few years later till mobile technology came out, and I started geeking out with phones and doing all the new things you can do with phones, and then this whole new platform, Android, came out, which really, really allowed you to dig in a little bit deeper, do a whole lot more, totally customize your entire mobile experience. And for the tech geeks like me, you could do an insane amount of stuff. You could put custom firmware on devices and all sorts of fun stuff. So I started, I guess, my venture into mobile technology because that's really what everybody knows me for now. With the HTC Incredible back in was that April of 2010, I got that phone, and upgraded from BlackBerry and started tinkering, and just started meeting the right people in the right places, learning how to do different things, and learning how to completely customize Android, and geeking out, learn a little bit of coding along the way, learn a little bit of development along the way, and then, as Kevin said, he stalked me on Google Plus. Then, then about 3 years ago, Google Plus launched. 3.5 years ago, about now, and
Has it been that long?
Yeah, July or June 28th, 29th, 2011. Yeah, it's been a while. So Google Plus launches, and I take my new mobile passion along with me, and I'm a tech geek, like I said, geek at heart, so I'm posting geeky things, technology-based things, and a lot of phone, Android, stuff, and I found out that my Android-related posts are doing better than my geeky, posts. The geeky posts are good, but the Android ones are bringing people in, and a lot of people are interacting with them, and I start talking to people, and people are like, oh, you should write, and I was like, no, I'm just some clown, talking about his phone, and people were, I don't know, people cared what I had to say, and to this day it still blows me back when someone says I'm a blogger, or I'm not a journalist. When someone says I'm a journalist, I'd laugh. I'm not I'm just a guy that likes technology and likes to talk about it. But I guess I am a blogger now, so I'll live up to that name. Anyways, so one thing led to another. I started gaining popularity on Google Plus, and a few Android blogs said, "Hey, you're a guy that has a decent following. You're a well-liked guy." I mean, I'm a well-liked guy, and you have a decent following. You seem to know what you're talking about. Hey, would you mind writing for us, and we'll give you money to do what you're already doing?
Well,
and I was
done.
like,
Yeah.
It's like, wait a second, that actually can be a thing. I mean, I'm gonna do it anyways. So you're gonna give me money to do something I like to do anyways? Yeah. Yes. And
Cha-ching.
things just snowballed from there. So I don't want to sound like an egotistical bastard or anything, but I have over 1 million followers now on Google Plus, and a lot of people come to me for technology news and information, and it's a very cool feeling. Like, it's really cool. I love helping people. I mean, my day job, as you said earlier, I'm a network admin at Penn State University, so I'm used to helping people. And previous, in other careers or other positions elsewhere before Penn State, I did customer support and and tech support, things like that. So I'm used to helping people. I mean, that's what I've done for my entire professional career. So helping people with mobile tech is second nature to me. I love helping people out. I love talking about this stuff. The same reason you guys are doing the show right now. You love talking about this type of stuff.
Right.
And so it just was second nature to me to talk about my passions in mobile tech. And here I am a couple years later, blogging about it and writing for Phandroid. Phandroid, I'll plug them for a little bit. They're actually the very first and oldest Android news website. Like, back in November 2007, the day that Google and the Open Handset Alliance actually announced Android, our founder, a good friend of mine now, Rob Jackson, he went out and registered the domain name and started a blog and started AndroidForums.com. So Phandroid, we have actually been here, since day one. So it's very cool to be, part of something that's been around in the Android world since day one. I really appreciate the opportunity that they give me to put my thoughts and my passions out there for millions of people to see. It's fun, and hey, I can make money doing something that I love to do, like you guys. It's an awesome feeling, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
well, I must be a hippie. Real quick, Kev, sorry, but I must be a hippie because I enjoy your positive energy, and I feel as though sometimes when I'm watching, like, say, a Frank Underwood from House of Cards or whatever, and then I hear and see you and you're talking about how I'm like, there's still hope for us. We still have some hope. I like that. I like that. You're a cool guy. So you like helping people. That's different.
Yeah. I mean, yeah,
in a good way.
I do. Like, it's I don't know, good guy Derek.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Warms my heart to help those out. It's just something I've done for many years in the tech field. So it's just second nature to help people out as much as I can. I enjoy it. I like to talk about tech, like I said. So spread the good word of the little green robot, and keep people away from the dark side of iOS.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, it's tough. Do you think you get some of that attitude a little bit from working on a college campus? Do you think a little bit of that kind of bleeds over to you? Because I got to say, being in that environment, I've never worked in a university. I've only went there. But that kind of environment, it kind of, it pushed me to be more, open, kind of open and willing to help, so to speak. Does that?
You mean just because the students there?
Yeah. Like the students and just the general atmosphere. Like people are coming there to learn.
Yeah.
And there's people that are there to teach.
Oh,
you know
sure.
what I mean?
I mean, first and foremost, my day job, our livelihood is to support the students. So yeah, if they need help, we have to help them out. But I really don't interact with students that often. It's I'm one of the guys back behind the curtain in the corner that keeps equipment up and running so I don't really
but I mean when you walk out the doors you're not surrounded by like a soulless corporation. You're surrounded by people who are there's a culture to it.
Right? There's definitely a culture. So I mean we're all there to help students better themselves, to get an education. So I guess it's definitely a different feel, I would say, from a lot of large entities like that.
Like ABC Corp with beige walls or taupe walls or whatever, and everybody wears suits and ties and stuff.
I mean I work across the street from a massive basketball stadium, football stadium, a brand new hockey rinks right out back. So there's lots of school spirit going around. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, Kevin, I'm going to stop. You go ahead, sir.
All right, my turn. All right. So Derek, most people know you from Google Plus, obviously. And what are some of your thoughts about Google Plus and the whole? They always talk about registered users versus active users, and a lot of people didn't want to have to create a Google Plus account when they created a Gmail, or vice versa. So what are your thoughts on Google Plus? What it is that you really love about it, and maybe some of the things that you don't, you wish Google would improve on?
Well, Kevin, the biggest thing when people talk about a new social network or Google Plus, like you mentioned, is they compare it to the current big dog on the street, and that is Facebook. And I don't think that should be done. Google Plus is a different type of social network. I really don't even feel it can be classified in the same manner as Facebook. It's just very different. It's more of a platform, and really, I think it's more of an actual social network where people go to engage and be social, where they don't go, whereas Facebook or Twitter, you'll go to post a status update, where you go to Google Plus to be engaging and to actually socialize with people. And so I've never felt right reading reports and hearing people try to compare the two when Facebook and Google Plus are really different types of platforms. They really are. So now registered users and having to kind of being forced to create an account in some aspects, boo-hoo. You want to use Google services, you're going to create an account on their system, right? You have an iOS device, oh no, you have to create an Apple account. Okay, you don't hear anybody bitching about that.
Right.
If you want to use their services, you're going to create an account. And you know what? You don't have to use the social aspect of it if you don't want to. If you get a new device, or you have to create a Google Plus account to comment on YouTube or something, or across the board to leave a review on the Play Store and so forth, that's fine. You don't have to go and post on Google Plus if you don't want to. You don't have to do all these things. You don't. And maybe you're not being forced to actually use the the more public side of the service, you might be being forced to use the back-end services that tie all the products together, but you're not forced to go and make a post. So I really feel a lot of the outrage is silly.
Right.
I am glad, though, that Google has changed a few things. Like, for example, Hangouts. Business users don't have to have a Google Plus account. They can just use their Google Apps account, which that makes more sense. I mean, a business users, it was kind of cool to say we could have our own, business Google Apps, Google Plus accounts and so forth. But really, a lot of businesses that might not work for. So, just being able to use your Google Apps account, I think that makes more sense. It's nice that they made that change. But everything else, I think people just like to bitch and complain to really hear themselves bitch and complain.
I know, yeah.
So, I don't know. People love to create drama, and 24-hour news sites need to have something to talk about, and it's. I don't know. I think, in the grand scheme of things, Google Plus has been around for 3.5 years, and in our 3.5 years, people won't really care about how things were in the beginning and being, pushed to create an account or not pushed to create an account. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big deal.
I don't think so either. I think I think that if there could be a way to bridge this, sort of make it non-invasive, right? Make it a little bit more take information from your Google account per se, as opposed to and just like give them a Google Plus deal, because like right now the last time I set up an account, it made me like go through and like choose who I wanted to follow or choose this or choose that, and I think for the average user, right, to kind of get rid of this idea of pushing this on them is just give them an account, and then
just make it happen. And then if somebody actually goes to the Google Plus app, then say, hey, we noticed you're not following anybody. Would you like to follow somebody? Yeah, I fully agree that that's a little better way to handle it.
Yeah, and I think, well, holy crap, I just found somebody to agree with me, Kevin. Check that out. No, so I think that
we can
would
edit that out if you want to.
No, right. Please don't do that. It never had. Lightning doesn't strike twice. You understand what I'm saying? So,
Sure.
So it's interesting to me just because you've garnered such a following on Google Plus, and because Google Plus itself has changed over time, and Hangouts and all of that is such a. I mean, people, they look at Hangouts, especially if they're on iOS, as a way to communicate like a WhatsApp or a Messenger type of system, but it's so integrated so heavily in Google+. Over these last couple of years, there's been some changes at the helm for Google+. Have you been fairly okay with the direction that they've taken?
Well, I mean, everybody was sad, I believe, when Vic Gandotra left. I think that was kind of a shocker. He was the guy that we've kind of had at the helm per se since day one, and he was the guy that was very public with what was going on. He commented on people's posts when they had questions or problems. Back in the day when the service was just launching, and everybody did public hangouts, and no one really does them anymore. But Vic would pop in your hangout, and you would, it was just so cool to have Vic pop in. He's like, "Hey guys, what's up?" And he did that, and it just, I don't know. He was a nice guy. I mean, he is a nice guy, and it's just kind of sad, obviously, to see somebody that brought such a big part of your life, to everybody just kind of leave, So it's kind of sad, but. For whatever the reasons, I mean, Google Plus isn't going anywhere. It sucks that a big head figure left, but oh well. That happens in corporate America on a daily basis, and companies still continue trucking on.
The service will continue. That is for sure.
Yeah.
Right. Kevin, you're up.
Just real quick, we have a question from Thomas Tinkley. Does Derek Ross still use MySpace?
You know what, Thomas? Thomas is he's a long friend of mine. That actually him and I met through Google Plus, and him and I are former Google TV ambassadors. So yeah, and that's a whole thing that fostered through Google Plus, like a friendship with him and other people. So to answer your question, Thomas, when the new MySpace launched, like a year and a half ago or something, everybody went and checked it out just to see what it was all about.
Thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
With it.
Yeah, so I mean, I went and I created a new account there just because, hey, it's the new MySpace, and I wanted to see what it looked like. Because I care what they look like. Have I ever signed back in since that day? No, I've never signed back in since the day I created my account. But if you want to go and, I don't know, friend me or something, buddy, you can, all right?
Go right ahead.
I didn't even know that was possible. I thought they just shut it down.
Well, what's his name? God, who's that? Justin Timberlake bought it or something.
Right. From these guys in Tennessee or something like that.
Yeah.
That's very strange. So on that, kind of in that vein, do you think that Hangouts on Air, and its tie-ins with YouTube and things of that nature, do you think it can survive without Google Plus?
I mean, Hangouts have really changed a lot since the beginning of Google Plus. I mean, back in the day, saying a Hangout meant we were going to do what we're doing right now. You know, a video chat.
Right.
Hangouts now is messaging. A Hangout with video call is what we're basically doing now. So, yeah, I think the YouTube integration is nice for Hangouts on Air. You know, so I think that's great for allowing everyday people like me to decide one day I want to do a live stream as you guys. Yeah, we're talking about. We're using Hangouts on Air right now. Yeah, so
that's
yeah, I mean, it allows you to easily use it and you know, but before Hangouts, you had to have like 1,000 subscribers to do a live show or something, and you had to be one of. You had to be selected to be able to do these live streams, and it was really a coveted thing. I can still remember whenever the Hangouts first launched, Michael Mozart joined my Hangout on Air, and he's like, I'm one of 8 people on YouTube that can do a live stream right now. This is so cool that other people can do it too, and right there, it made me think, you know what? This is cool because the average everyday person now can do a live stream. It doesn't have to be some big bad famous YouTuber or celebrity or something. Anybody can do what we're doing right now. So do I think it can survive without YouTube? Yeah, I mean, it started out without YouTube, and I think it's grown into this thing that businesses are using. For conference calls, and everyday people, families are using this to chat. I use it to talk to my family, who is cross-platform. My sister uses iOS, unfortunately, and God love her. But yeah, so we use it. It's a great tool. I think the YouTube integration is cool for live streaming, but if that feature split off and went its own route or whatever you were referring to, I think we'd be fine.
Are you still a little bit surprised at the fact that when people think of video calls, video conferencing, most people still reference Skype and FaceTime? Yeah.
And I would say Skype will always be there because it was one of the first big global players in doing so.
It's ubiquitous, right? It's kind of
it's one of the things where someone says hey, is that an iPad? But they just mean tablet, or hey, can I have a Kleenex? And that's they mean tissue paper. And it's just one of it's a word that just means video chat. Really, just it's synonymous with it. But FaceTime, yeah, I think Apple does a great job advertising. They're a great advertising and marketing company. Google, until Lollipop, was for being an advertising company that gets a lot of, for being a company that gets a lot of money from advertising revenue, they're not the greatest advertising company. Right. It's really hard for people to figure out what the heck you can do on these devices. Like a lot of people just didn't know. So
I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that it's not as much as people would like to think it's just one evil Dr. Evil, pinky to the face type ruling it. There's a bunch of different moving parts in Google, and it's really hard to say that there's a concise Google voice, right? That just not the service. I'm just saying like it comes down from the mountain on high. So it's so hard to say, well, how come everybody wasn't talking about it? I bet you they didn't even know what was going on. Like I bet that they were in deep.
There's so many different silos in Google that they don't talk to one another.
It's just like Microsoft. That's what Apple has, I think, on everybody is that it's like if you have an idea, it has to go through like everyone to the top, and then they're like, okay, we deem this ready to be, released to the, to the public. So I think that has a lot to do with it too.
And Apple makes things easy. So if I'm talking,
Yes.
from what I understand, I've never used an iPhone, but from pictures. So if I'm talking to somebody on voice right now, I have a FaceTime button. I hit the FaceTime, and boom, I can FaceTime that person. Whereas Hangouts, yeah, you could do that if you're doing a Hangouts voice call, but that's separate from the phone dialer, so that adds some confusion. So you'd have to be talking on the phone dialer. Hey, hold on a second, let's hang up. Now let me launch a separate app, and now let me video call you. So it's in the grand scheme of things, no, it's not hard, but it's not dumb, stupid, easy like it is on iOS, and that's why people still talk. You don't really hear too many people saying, oh yeah, Google Hangouts video call me. They'll just, which is a mouthful.
I know, right?
They'll just say, hey, FaceTime, or hey, Skype. It's just easier. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe no one wants to say 7 words to describe the service they're going to use.
Yeah, well, Microsoft suffers from that a lot. Is they have long names for stuff, and that's why, honestly, I think that they have some of the most problems that they have.
Microsoft Office, SharePoint, Professional, Enterprise, 2013.
Yeah, home business suite, small business.
Yeah.
It's very kind of. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of choice, but if you want, specific targeted things, I mean, I'm not saying you got to dumb it down, but I'm just saying you have to make it digestible in one shot, because every time I talk about, because I talk about technology all the time, obviously, and every time I talk about it, it's when I start to lose them, like they do that like puppy dog tilt of the head. I'm like, crap, yeah. I'm losing them. I gotta get it back. So I can't. I need to get it across as fast as I can, and this is not easy. It's just not easy to do with some services, even though those services are fantastic for what they are. But we don't want to let this conversation get away with us. So what are your thoughts on, I know you're not wearing Glass, but what are your thoughts on Google Glass, its current state? So what's happened up until now, and then what your thoughts are about it going forward?
So I'm going to try to be, this is a long conversation. Right, so I was one of the original 8,000 Glass Explorers. I got it summer of 2013, I guess. So I wore Glass every single day, all day long. I left my house at 7 a.m. I wore it till 6 p.m. when I got home. I didn't really wear it around the house too much. If I left the house again in the evening, boom, put it on. Everybody knew me and saw me. I always had Glass, and I loved it and used it all the time. Well, Glass updated to a new version back in April 2013, and it brought it up to KitKat. I'm trying to get too technical, but it was buggy, and it was slow, and it was laggy, and things didn't work. So a lot of Glass users were frustrated, and we were frustrated with this for 2 months, having a buggy piece of hardware for 2 months that we didn't like to use anymore as we waited for Google to fix the bugs, which they eventually did. Then Google came out with Android Wear. Right. And they gave all the not all the Glass Explorers, but they gave Glass Explorers the opportunity to continue with wearables with a platform that was now a proven, stable product, or more stable than Glass. So a lot of us, like a lot of my Glass Explorer friends, transitioned over to Android Wear, and there's a lot of diehards that were like me, a diehard that still wear Glass every day, or they don't like Android Wear, and that's fine. And I think there's still a future for Glass, because we have to remember that Glass is still a beta prototype product. It's not a final consumer product, whereas Android Wear is an actual consumer product. So it's tough to compare the two because they're still not on the same playing field.
Right.
I think that Google, from talking to a few people on the Glass team, Google wants to have both types of wearables, because some people want to have the smart glasses, the heads-up display type scenario. Some people want that. Other people want a smart watch. Other people don't want anything, and they want just a tablet or a phone. And Google wants the same type of experience to get all your notifications across the board, no matter what type of person you are. So I think Glass will still stay. And Glass for work in the enterprise sector is gaining a lot of steam. There's a lot of new businesses and a lot of new applications that are coming out with Glass, and I don't think Google has completed that thought yet. It's still a beta product, and I'm hopeful that it turns into something really cool when it becomes a consumer product, because I was a diehard Glass fan and I wore it every day, and now I only wear it if I'm going to go somewhere special. Really, I feel bad saying that, but I wear it maybe once a month now, and since September, so it's been 3 months, and I've probably only worn it like 5 times.
What would be the price point you would like to see it release on a consumer scale?
Oh, I don't know if I'm educated enough to make that decision.
I would argue that, but go ahead.
Maybe that wasn't the right wording there. Let me say, I'm a tech geek, so I'm gonna. I paid $1,500 for it, so obviously right. I'm okay paying $500 for it. But for it to be adopted on more of a mass scale, I'd say $400 would be a price. Would be something more feasible for more people.
I think that's reasonable. Yeah.
Nice sweet spot.
We gotta look at it. It's still it's not a complete smartphone accessory, because it works independently on Wi-Fi. You don't have to have a phone with you, but it's still a smartphone accessory for most features and functions. So you can't have it be too expensive, but I do understand that the technology behind it is
not cheap.
Not cheap. So I mean, if we could see it at $300, that would be amazing. But $300 to $400, I think that would be better.
Samsung's Oculus version or whatever, where you got the Galaxy S4, S5 or whatever, like plastered right there in front of your face, is like $199 on contract with AT&T. So I would have to think that a scenario with Glass is possible there.
Well, yeah, but that's also $199 plus a $700 phone.
Oh no, absolutely.
It only works with certain devices, so.
Yeah, I mean, it might only be $200, but you got to have a $700 phone or on contract phone. You paid $300 for it or something, but still, you got to have both pieces of the hardware. So. Oh,
make no mistake, I'm not arguing for it. Yeah. I'm just saying that I think at that point, I think it would be where other, if I'm looking at a comparative market analysis, right? Okay, this seems like it would be okay to do.
Yeah, I mean, if they could get it down to $200, that'd be amazing, and that'd be more of an impulse. I mean, not impulse for everybody, but it would be. I think we'd see a lot more adoption out there. But then again, it heads-up display like that. I also think it was kind of before its time. Maybe a year from now.
Yeah.
Maybe a year from now they come back and everybody's okay with it, because we're used to seeing wearables a lot more. Smart watches everywhere, and I don't know, just other wearables we don't even can't even dream of. Something else comes on the market that makes it cool. Maybe Apple will come out with their something.
Oh God, no! I hope not.
That's what it is. Apple didn't come out with it first.
Right.
Yeah, well, the watch, I am looking forward to when Apple comes out with the watch, because I do think that it's going to create more of a market for wear right now. I mean, it's already. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's already. I mean, I've really enjoyed from what I've used of it. So I can only imagine once it's a thing. Once the rich kids get their watches or whatever.
Exactly, it's not cool until the rich kids get it, right?
Well, it's got to be ubiquitous. It's got to be in shows. People got to be see out in public, and you're like, God, I don't want to look. I don't want to wear flannel at at a club. It's just like one of those things. But so tell us a little bit about what's your primary Android devices: watch, tablet, Chromebook, no Chromebook, phone. Run down the gamut for it, so if you don't mind.
So I wear my Moto 360 every day.
Nice.
I love my Moto 360. I have a Nexus 6, as we were talking pre-show. I'm trying to sell my Moto X 2014 because I supersized it and want the Nexus 6.
All right.
So
would you like to supersize that for an extra? No.
Yeah, supersize it for an extra $200. I have a Nexus 7 2013 tablet, which I don't use that often. It's more of a Minecraft device with my son. I really don't use that tablet really anymore. The only time I use it, I guess, is when my phone is dead charging,
Right.
or my son says, "Hey, Dad, you want to play Minecraft?" And that's really about it. I don't use a tablet too much anymore. Chromebook, I'm rocking a Dell Chromebook I got last April or so. It works great for me, but I'm not using that right now to chat to you wonderful folks. I'm using my 5-year-old desktop that I built 5 years ago to play World of Warcraft. And back when I was a big Warcraft geek, and man, I lived and breathed that game for way too many years. but yeah, so one of these days I'm going to build a new system. I need to upgrade, but for now, the Chromebook and the Nexus 6 gets pretty much everything done that I need.
So speaking of the Nexus 6, you've had it for a while. You released your review on Phandroid, so most people can always just go read that. Since you've posted that review, what are your continued thoughts on the Nexus 6? I mean, I've got it updated to 501, and Android Wear is updated.
There's no doubt that it's a big device, but I don't even care anymore. I'm so used to it being big. My wife, I typed a message for her on her 2013 Moto X over the weekend, and I was like, "Oh my God, this thing is so small. I couldn't even use it." I'm trying to type on it.
Go back to an iPhone 4S or something.
Oh, geez.
I just couldn't do it. Like, I am so beyond used to the size of the Nexus 6. I do not care that it's big. It doesn't. I mean, I don't know. I love it. It's a fast device. It works great. The camera works decent. There's every once in a while there's a little bit of lag, and I think that's a bug or two that Google has to work on. Sometimes the camera is a little slow to start or take a picture.
Right, I've noticed that too.
And it's not all the time though. No. I don't know. I think that there's still some bugs in it, but I'm confident that with software fixes, we'll be on the way. I still think it's one of the better devices out there because the hardware is great, and Google's going to fix the bugs. Part of the problem with the camera could be that Google Camera supports 1,000 different devices. So maybe they need to update it a little bit more specifically for the Nexus 6. Do something for the Nexus 6 to fix the little bit of lag on it. But stability's coming. I mean, I don't know. Actually, I was listening to Google Play Music earlier today, and in the car on the way home, and all of a sudden my phone rebooted, and I was like, "Oh, well, that's nice." Don't have that happen too often, but yeah. I don't know. I still love it, but I wouldn't say that it's the best device you can get right now because not everybody will like a big phone like that.
Right.
Not everybody will. People want a little cheaper phone too. So
I love my little Nexus 5, man.
Yeah. So I mean, I'd say the Moto X 2014 is probably your best device you can get right now. I mean, it's $500, off contract. You can customize it to your liking. You can get wood backs, leather backs, and it's fast and it runs LiPop. I mean, it's basically a smaller Nexus 6. I love my Moto X, but I had to supersize. I did. I'm a fanboy. I wanted the bigger phone. I wanted the Nexus, and it worked out for me. I'm happy with my decision. But yeah.
Sweet. Yeah, I'm kind of the same way with mine. I mean, I went from, since I bounced back and forth between different platforms. I mean, I've got a Lumia 1520, so I'm used to the large screens. If I were to get an iPhone, I'd get a 6 Plus. So whenever they confirmed that Shamu was actually going to be a 5.96-inch display, I was like, yes, that is going to be my next Android purchase.
I wrote a big opinion post that's back in July saying the Nexus 6 is the first Nexus phone I do not want. Who wants a phone 6 inches? And I would just rant and raved how much I did not want a phone that big, and it was just dumb. And
it's okay to be wrong once in a while.
It is. It's happened 2 or 3 times. That's fine.
Yeah.
I was wrong. I got used to it after a week or so, and I don't care anymore. But I mean, I wouldn't say that I would have been wrong about all, massive devices in the past. Like, should I have gotten Note, 1, 2, or 3 in the past or something like that? I'm going to say no because I can't stand TouchWiz. But my take on the whole phablets, I really don't like that term, but my take on all the massive phones has definitely changed with the Nexus 6. I'm sold on the big device because I really think Google tried to answer one question and that's how big can we make this mobile computer in your pocket before it's too big? Because
Right.
I mean, that's what it is. I mean, yes, some people use their phone as an actual phone, but I'm going to say a lot of people don't. I
Right.
make 2 minutes of phone calls a day. It's hey honey, I'm at work. Hey honey, I'm leaving work, and that's honey, don't call me during the day. I'm at work. I mean,
It's exactly.
I mean, I don't make that many phone calls, and maybe every couple of weeks I'll talk to a family member here and there, for a few minutes, or a buddy I haven't talked to in a while. But I don't make many phone calls, so I don't. I use it as a mobile computer, and you know what? It's a great mobile computer.
Right.
Yeah,
Completely
absolutely.
agree.
Well, you've been stalking this guy, Kevin. Is there any particular question you want to ask this guy?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, I know we're coming up on 40 some odd minutes. I mean, there's a lot of great things with the whole Android Wear update that just started rolling out to the G Watch and the 360. You've been to Google I/O, so obviously you had a chance to get some early hands-on with these new smartwatches with Android Wear. And what has been your thoughts on how it's progressed from from Google I/O up until now? What are your thoughts on Android Wear?
Well, they definitely listen to user feedback. The last Wear update allowed you to swipe down to kind of hide a card, because before, if you don't want a card that popped up, to cover your whole watch face or a quarter of your watch face, because a lot of people liked the way their watch face looked, and the only way to get rid of it was to swipe it away. And then you're like, oh shit, I wanted to look at that later.
Exactly.
So they fixed that in the last minor Wear updates. That was nice. It was just a little cosmetic tweak, that user experience tweak, and that was very nice. But with Lollipop, they added a lot of things that should be, well, once again, more user tweaks, but some things that are really nice to have. The fact that you can change your watch face directly from the app is nice, and you can browse watch faces, and you can look at for people that are concerned about storage and battery stats, and you can monitor that directly from the companion app. But modes, the different screen modes, theater mode and sunlight mode, and adding priority notifications to Android Wear is really nice. And I think the number one feature that people had since day one was they wanted to be able to undo an accidental card swipe away. They wanted to look at their watch face or something. Or like, I don't want to get notified, or I don't want to have this information pop up right now. And they swipe it away. And like, oh crap, I want that back. And now you can undo. So that's a simple user interface tweak that that should have been there since day one, but it wasn't, and and now it's there. So that's great. Google likes to release often and iterate often. It almost feels like everything. I mean, we really should have learned from Gmail back in 2004 that stayed in beta for like 8 years or something like that.
Right.
that Google releases beta products all the time and then just updates them every few weeks, and that's how Google is. Release early and often. So I think Wear is going to continue to improve. I mean, we saw a battery life improvement on devices a few releases ago, and now we're getting some user experience tweaks here and there. It's just the beginning. Android Wear, we got to remember, is 6 months old right now. So look how far they've come with adding the few things in the past 6 months. So 6 months from now, I don't know. I mean, they're going to keep growing, keep getting better. Android's definitely a freight train that can't be stopped. So I'm hopeful that the future with Android Wear is going to keep bringing out more features that everyday people want. And
I was gonna ask you, Android, does it keep its dominance for the next couple of years, you think?
I mean, you're not going to go from 85% of the world to less than 50 in a few years. I don't think. I think emerging markets are still. Android is going to be the top dog. I mean, there's another billion people out there in emerging markets in Africa and Asia, and I think that Android is right for the picking. We're seeing all these new devices from Xiaomi and then other manufacturers, Android One, that are trying to hit that, and Moto G, Moto E, and from Motorola, devices that are trying to hit that really cheap price point to make smartphones more available to more people. So I don't think we're going to see a $100 iPhone in the near future. Now, we are seeing some, Firefox OS and Ubuntu phone, things like that, and that's very cool. But it maybe ties in someday in the future, dear God. But
I would prefer that for Samsung to do their own thing. I really would. I really would because I think L is gorgeous user interface, and it needs to be on those phones. The hardware's getting there, so.
Yeah, I think that Samsung, though, that their number one competitor is Apple, and they they want to have their own thing. They want to differentiate themselves to say this is a Samsung device, and this is an iOS device. Just like a girl I work with today told me, she's like, I've had enough of my iPhone. When I upgrade here in a few months, I'm switching over. And I said, oh yeah, you're gonna switch to Android? She says, yep, I'm getting a Samsung. I was like, oh,
you're like my soul died just a little bit when you said that, girl.
I was like, oh, okay, well, that's fine. I'm not gonna show you the error in your ways yet, but that's fine. I think Samsung knows where they're at, and they know who their competitors are, and they're gonna keep, they're gonna Apple as much of the Samsung ecosystem as they can, per se, I guess.
Right. Well, we've taken up enough of your time, sir. Thank you so much for coming on. That ends our guest interview segment of the show. Where can people find out more about you and what it is that you're doing?
Well, you can check me out on Google+. That's plus.google.com/plus Derek Ross. You can also follow me on Twitter at Derek M. Ross. And you can find my postings and ramblings about the Android world on Phandroid.com as well.
Fantastic.
JJ and Kevin, I'd just like to say thank you guys for having me. It was a lot of fun. I hope I didn't ramble on too much, but I love this stuff. So thanks for having me, guys. It was a lot of fun. And,
feel free to come back if you ever want to get a hangout fix.
If you're just like, guys, I want to hop on a show. I've got the itch. I know I need to vent. I need to say something. We say this to all of our guests, but we mean it every single time. If you want to come back on whenever you want, just shoot us an email. We'll figure it out and make it happen.
All right, great. Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I greatly appreciate it. You guys have a good night, all right?
Hey, you too. Have a great rest of your weekend. Yeah. Happy holidays. See ya.
Yeah, same to you. Nice.
Okay, now let us inform you all on the tech news, starting with Kevin. Your first story, please, sir.
All right. Let me find my first story, since I know things are all kind of a little combobulated with the news and stuff like that. Let's start off with Microsoft. We talked a lot about Google right now. Microsoft's going to hold their Windows 10 consumer event on January 21st. Now, this is going to be in Redmond. It's going to be up, press invites have gone out within the last few days, I guess, and Paul Thurrott was talking about it on his website, Win Super Site, and he mentioned that the main portion of the announcement is actually going to be live streamed. So, prior, when Microsoft had their real small little get together to announce, and officially unveil the tech preview for Windows 10, this is going to be a little bit more broad range. It's not enterprise focused. This is the consumer focused version.
Mm-hmm.
So we're really obviously looking forward to that. Satya Nadella, Terry Myerson, Joe Belfiore, and Phil Spencer and other Microsoft executives would be attending the briefing, and parts of it would be broadcast on the web. So looking forward to this and talking about all the Cortana and all this other good stuff. So
I tell you what, let's just go ahead and hop into my story, since I'll just piggyback it on what you just said. So what's coming up in Windows 10, and this is why this is interesting to me, right? Because Android is for mobile right now. I'm not saying that as in mean or maliciously or in any way, but Android is for mobile, Windows is for desktop. It's just that's the way it is. I mean, my production machines are all Windows, and they are because of several reasons I'm not going to get into now. But this is interesting because I think Windows 10 is the OS that's going to bring people back to that work production and then have some play on it. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is the version that does it. And I'll tell you why, is I've been using it every day. In fact, I use it to write my latest article on STLTechTalk.com. So when I use that, I can see where they're going with it. So let's talk a little bit about what's coming. So out of the leaks from the most recent build leak, which is 9901, unless that's changed in the last couple of hours, because that's the way things go. Yeah, but there's a couple of things I want to talk about. The Xbox Hub app, where users can enjoy their movies, their games, their music, and their Xbox Live content. How come they didn't do this from the get-go? I'll have no idea. This will act a lot like Xbox Smart Glass app, so if you currently use that, you'll know what I'm talking about. The next thing is Cortana, my favorite AI girl. Oh yeah, is really integrated with Windows 10. Cortana will show a multitude of results on all topics you're interested in. This feature is going to be very helpful for the future of keeping your productivity and your work and your work and play in line. So Cortana is going to be able to pop up on the screen. It's not going to be intrusive. It's going to be very classy. It's going to be a lot like how Android L has their notifications. They're going to be interactive. They're not going to be just so static, which is really neat. I'm really excited about that. So it feels like people that are using Android, it feels like people that are using iOS or whatever are really putting in, and people that use Windows are really putting in their heart and soul to this feedback. And the developers for Windows 10 are really trying to do things right with this release. And it feels like that. I honestly wish they could have done it before this holiday season, because I cannot tell you how many people are just like, I really wish there was a flagship phone, or I really wish there was this thing that I could point to and say this is it. So the next thing that's different on Windows 10 is the search bar and taskbar. Okay, so right now on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, if you're using Windows, is the Windows symbol. Now, if you were to click on that, that just takes you to the current start menu. But what you see in the Windows 10 version is actually a smaller version of that start window, and it looks a lot like Windows 7. The way the start menu pops up, it actually gives you a list of all the applications you can search. Now, directly to the right of that is a search icon. Well, in Windows 10, you can actually have a search bar there, and you can actually type in searches, and Cortana will do a Bing search for those that search-related text. So that's going to be really interesting to see. The next thing is settings. Now, if you use a Windows machine 8.1 or higher, or 8.0 and higher, you'll recognize that there are like 5 different ways to turn off your freaking machine, which is insane. There should just be the one way, it should just be the one way. Because when I'm teaching classes on Windows 8, it's crazy. People are like, well, I thought I turned it off a different way the other time. How come I'm not doing that again? I'm like, you should be given a crayon. Anyway, but it's not their fault necessarily. It is a bunch of different ways to look at something. So settings is another thing like that. You've got control panel, and then you've got change PC settings. Well, what if you don't want to change the PC settings, but you just want to look at the PC settings? You actually have to click on change PC settings. Well, that actually turns people off, believe it or not. So the settings window that pops up, because now we have Windows. It's not like if you tap on a current modern application. See, I'm already losing people. But if you turn on a modern application, it doesn't fall into a window where you still have your taskbar at the bottom and to where you can resize the window. It actually takes over your whole screen. So you're like, oh my gosh. And then people try switching apps by going to the top left corner of the screen with their mouse, and it's just like, oh my gosh. Why did you do this? Why did you do this? So all of that gets more simple. So you'll have one settings screen, and essentially it'll control all the modern interfaces. Now you'll still have control panel for your admins, but you will not have a whole bunch of different ways to access the settings. So that's my rant. Kevin, you're up with the next story.
All right, so now we're recording this on December 15th, and this next story that I want to talk about primarily focuses on December 16th, so which is tomorrow, Tuesday.
What?
Yeah,
wow.
I know. So T-Mobile is set to announce Uncarrier 8.0 tomorrow on December 16th during a live quote-unquote fireside chat with CEO John Legere talking with David Pogue of Yahoo News. Now, they're really keeping this this Uncarrier 8.0 thing under wraps pretty good. And T-Mobile's been shaking things up in the mobile phone industry, when it comes to carriers and pricing structure and data and all that stuff. So I'm not sure exactly what we're going to see. I'm not really hearing a lot of rumblings about it. I'll tell you one thing that I would hope for T-Mobile to announce is, hey, we're getting a better spectrum, and we're actually going to be able to have some better building penetration. So as soon as you walk inside certain buildings, you're not going to drop your call, and you're going to be able to access your data and all that stuff within certain building structures.
Cool.
That's what I would like to see. Whether or not that's what this is about, I mean, who knows? I mean, there's talk that T-Mobile is going to be very highly aggressive on the 700 megahertz spectrum, I believe, for the frequencies in the upcoming auction, basically, whenever they are bidding for new spectrum. So hopefully they'll be able to get some good 700 megahertz spectrum and get that building penetration taken care of.
Yeah, you get that penetration.
Because that's really the biggest complaint with T-Mobile now is, you might have some of the best data speeds out there, but if I go inside a certain building or I'm not standing by the window, well, what good is it?
Right. You're exactly right. And I think this is going to be really interesting because if there's anything that I love in a carrier, it's just doing cool stuff like that. Just coming out with new and fun stuff, and I'm excited about that. I really am. I'm excited to see what happens. Another reason why I like T-Mobile is because it's so easy to get devices and swap SIM cards and all that kind of stuff. And because they have a lot of similarities and if you get an unlocked phone, you can take a SIM card from a T-Mobile or an AT&T and kind of do the swap back and forth. So that's really cool. I like that. So for those of you out there who are, to piggyback off this story a little bit, those of you who are out there who are frustrated with Windows Phone, one of the things that Windows Phone's been doing really well is you can go into Walmart right now and you can, because this was bothering me, I have to move this, you can actually buy a Lumia 635. Now you don't have flash on it, so we'll not get into that. The reason why that's not on there because that drives people nuts. But it's $69.99. So that's a smartphone on not on a contract. So if you break your phone, you can go in and get a really decent phone for under $100. Mm-hmm. And we see this now, this Lumia device being really plastered all over the world now. We see it going to India. This is courtesy of WM Power User. We see devices. We finally see some of the interesting price points that are coming in where Windows Phone is essentially giving up the flagship market and at this point and completely just flooding the market with and they're trying to battle it out with the Samsungs and the Googles of the world. On the low end. So if you or your family member is in need of a new device for Christmas because they drop, break, or otherwise smash their stuff and they can't upgrade, it's a nice replacement device to hold you over. I'm not saying this. Don't take me as an Ed Bot or as a Tom Warren who left Windows Phone, but just take it as what it is. It's a compliment. It's a really nice device to hold you over until you want to go to something else, or if you want to see what happens with Windows Phone in the future. So, by the way, I read Ed's reason for leaving the platform. It was really interesting. We've had him on the show, so I respect his opinion and all that. But I got to say, I wasn't surprised.
Right. I mean, he did kind of touch on that a little bit a couple weeks ago when he was with us. So. When he did. Posted that last week, I was like, well, it's pretty much what you said.
He talked about it. Before. Yep. So. He's a man of his word, and there's only so much you can push people before they're like, you know what, I'm gone. And it's not to say they're going to be gone forever. I mean, right.
I mean, it's more of a carrier issue with being frustrated with Verizon and not giving users the cyan update for the Lumia icon. I don't blame them.
Yeah, I really don't. On Verizon, Verizon and Sprint is it's just like, oh my gosh, why? So again, this is us just playing tribute to all the different ecosystems. There's not a lot of iPhone news. That's why we're not talking about it all that much. But Kevin, you're up with your next story.
Yeah, so I'm going to talk a little bit about video games for a while. Normally, we don't get a chance to talk about video games because neither one of us, unfortunately, we don't really have the time. To play.
Mr. Whiteside.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Right.
This is
You
a
know,
shout
play a
out to
lot of the
you
latest and greatest.
while you're spraying the car down. This is for you, kid.
Exactly. So, you know, we mentioned, you know, Microsoft had a big Black Friday week selling over 700,000 Xbox One units. Well, for the month of November, this was the first month, November 2014, that they beat
Whoa.
Sony with their PlayStation 4. The Xbox One outsold the PS4 uh, in total monthly sales with over 1.2 million consoles. Obviously, that's a lot attributed to the price cuts and the special Black Friday deals. Sony didn't really get into too much with the Black Friday bundles, you know, at least not with as deep of price cuts as Microsoft has gone. And the PS4 is to go on sale in China on January 11th, 4 months after the Xbox One, which is helping to break a 14-year ban on sales of foreign consoles. Which that, you know, I mean, China's got some very strict regulations
They do.
and
They
stuff.
really do.
Yeah, so you gotta watch some things over there. And another thing too, you know, a lot of people don't want to, you know, talk too much about the Nintendo's Wii U. I actually think that might be one of the, you know, it's a console I'm very interested in because I mean I grew up with Nintendo, Atari, etc.
Really, you are?
Yeah.
I wish we could had the time to unpack that, but go ahead.
Yeah, so with the Wii U, it sold nearly 710,000 copies.
I don't look down on you for it. I'm just saying this.
For Super Smash Brothers. So the new Super Smash Brothers sold nearly 710,000 copies for the month of November. But here's the kicker. It did not release until November 21st. So it only had like 9 days, and it sold 710,000 copies of, you know, obviously people knew it was going to be one of the biggest releases for the system, and you know, along with the new Mario Kart, and obviously there'll be a new Zelda game, and there's already been new Marios. And
all right, so I'm going to pick your brain a little bit because I don't know crap about this. Is that 710,000 over the world, or just the United States, or do we know where that number comes from?
I'm not. Let me look at the article again real quick and see. I know. I mean, a lot of people have been, you know, reviewing
I mean, I don't
it,
mean
showing
to
off
put you on the spot, but I was just kind of curious because it's just like I know no one who has this console. I mean, I listen to other.
I'm the same way. I don't think I definitely cannot fill up one hand.
Yeah, right. People who even know the difference between the two.
I might know one or two people that might have one, and I'd have to double check to see if they actually do have it or not.
Right.
No, it doesn't really. You know, this little Verge article that I'm looking at. No, they don't mention.
Okay.
I mean, it could just be United States only, or also combined. But either way, I mean, it's.
Listeners to the show, if you like the show, send us some statistics about anything you want. I really don't care. Just send us some statistics about tech-related stuff. Keep it tech-related, obviously, because, you know. But I love charts. I love graphs and charts and stuff.
Oh, yeah, you're definitely a graph nut.
Yeah.
I know that.
Yeah.
Give me a pie chart.
Give me a pie chart.
Give me some pie.
Give me a stat chart. Give me a nice old bell curve. Oh yeah, give it to me good. All right, so
year-over-year review.
Year-over-year reviews. I love that kind of stuff. Well, honestly, speaking of all this, I'm gonna go ahead and skip one of the other stories that I had because it's not a thing. Because I want to talk about this. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Daryl Pritchard. Because the last show, he rightfully so emailed me and was like, "Oh, JJ, during the tech ticker, you were incorrect, sir. I think that Sony Pictures is going to take it more of a hit than you say." You're right. I was wrong. So the next segment of the show is the tech ticker. So for all of you who like stats and like plots and you like watching the market and seeing where and how money shapes everything, then you might enjoy this. And if you don't, whatever. This week I have decided to focus on broadband providers. Let's start off with Comcast. Now, Comcast has been in the news, obviously. So the open, $56.08, close, $55.05. News effect, of course, Comcast is at the center of the broadband net neutrality battle with their pending purchase of Time Warner Cable. They would become the largest broadband provider in the U.S., but I don't care what they say. I'm saying what I think is true. It's going to be really interesting to watch the stock going forward. This one is a fun one. I think they're going to win their battle, and I know that I'm not saying that I want them to. I just think they're gonna. It's like picking a sports game or whatever. It's like I'm not on the field. I'm just making a bet. But I think that they're going to be able to secure this thing, man. I think they're going to lock it up, and I think it's going to be a fight for when the Republicans take over the House and Senate next year as the majority. It's going to be a whole thing. And we're going to hear a lot more about this in the coming year. But I don't really think there's going to be a lot of change here. In fact, I think their stock's probably going to go up mostly. Next up, Charter. Now, we should disclose a little bit. They are a supporter of the show, not this show, but other shows that we do. But Charter Communications opening at $164.81 a share. Their close was $161.30 a share. So it's been down, but the overall stock market has been down a little bit. That's just because of just market conditions this time of the year, gas prices, things of that nature, commodities, and I could get into it, but I'm not going to. News effect. Jody Robinson joins Charter as the Senior Vice President of User Experience of Design and Development. She comes to you from Stars Entertainment Group. She brings an interesting online TV play experience to the table. Charter is currently the 4th largest cable operator in the U.S. My predictions, I am bullish on Charter, actually, not just because they sponsor the shows, like that I said before, but just because of the job offering, or excuse me, because of the offerings of no contract, very fast internet, broadband speeds to rural areas. The only downside to our particular location is there are no upload-download matching. So like an Xfinity, Verizon type matching where you have like 100 down and you have 100 up upload speeds, and that's megabits
Daniel
per second.
Rubino.
Yeah, I know, Daniel Rubino. How dare you, sir? Actually, they just said that they're going to be releasing more. They're going to start with podcasts again. So there goes my whole wanting to do that show. But this is going to be a big seller in the future, I think, just because they can keep their prices competitive. So I'm bullish on them. Time Warner Cable, they're opening $146.99 a share. They're closed $144.55 a share. The news effect, Time Warner is always a good target for many unhappy customer complaints. Taking this into account, the Time Warner reports is that they have had a rough year in the market. However, their stock is still on the rise in the current year to date. Can you believe that? Both, Comcast is down a little bit, but Time Warner Cable, with all the stuff that they've been through, Kevin, can you believe that they're actually doing better at this time of the year as they were as opposed to last year to date?
It is interesting.
Comcast continues to pursue Time Warner Cable, just like the moon and the sun chase each other in the sky. That was a little mythology thing for you there. This is particularly troubling to the net neutrality advocates because Comcast will take a large majority of the broadband services if the deal is to close. Charter has stated it may purchase the company if Comcast doesn't. So that's kind of interesting. I bet you didn't know that, Kevin. Mm-hmm. Predictions. Wow, this one is a difficult one too. Also, I looked at the I look at this deal like the Comcast Time Warner Cable deal as the AT&T and T-Mobile deal back when. If this deal doesn't go through, there's going to be a lot of interesting turn of events in the broadband space. I think that the deal will happen because there are many more players this time around in this particular fight, and I look for the stock to stay in neutral for the next few months while this is in purchase time, whatever and all of that. So again, to all of our fans, we appreciate your continued emailing of the show. That ends the news segment of the show. So if you want to comment or contribute to any of the stories that we covered on the show, email us at contact@thetechinformist.com. And if we missed any of those questions, we'll try to catch them up on during the show. We'll try to catch up with them next time we go around. Kevin, it is now your time for your application picks of the week, which you stole from me, but whatever.
They weren't
Kevin,
there, so I threw them out there.
I know, I hear you. You're up first, sir.
Now, earlier in the show, I mentioned that I've got a Lumia 1520 Windows Phone, obviously, and I've used these MSN apps, like the weather and the money and sports and news and stuff like that. So now they're available on both Android and iOS.
They
to
are.
go along with the Windows Phone, and obviously they're free, available in your App Store or Google Play. So
say it ain't so.
I mean, they are nice apps. Obviously, like I said, they're free, and I really do like them. The look of them is just nice. For something about the sports app, I just like reading that.
Oh, I love it. The MSN apps before that, they were Bing apps, obviously, like you said, and they were for Windows Phone. They were great. And now that they're on Android and iOS, I hope that they take off and more people check them out, because they are really, really cool. They are really, really cool. I think that take Microsoft out of it if you like them or hate them, whatever. Just don't think of them like that. Just think of them as another software maker. I think that if you took a good look at it, I think you'd like it. I really do, especially the sports one. I'm a big fan of that one.
I mean, it's definitely continues the trend of Microsoft putting their services on all these other platforms. So that's the strategy Microsoft's going with. It's not necessarily all about the hardware as it is about the software. And, well, I have to say they've got some really good software.
Yeah, it's in the name, Microsoft. My pick for the week is going to be a subset of a subset of a subset of people, and that is Pimp My Band. Now, I'm not a big fan of the name, but what it does is allows you to change your Microsoft Band wallpaper, which is the new wearable device from Microsoft. I'm looking at you can see it right here. For people watching the thing. It's an awesome device, man. I really you can get it for iOS, Android, and Windows Phone, but you have to have Windows Phone 8.1 to use it, and it's really awesome device, and it's really neat that it comes with some personalizations deals that you can do. Natively, but this is really neat being able to kind of customize it even further. Kind of, bridges that gap, if you will. Like the iOS, Android is right down the middle, I always feel like. But this app, really does a good job of making that background wallpaper look pretty cool when you're looking down at it for stats and time and stuff. So that's my application pick of the week. So if any of you listeners want to send us some applications you would like us to try out or talk about, we'll be more than happy to do that. contact@thetechinformist.com. Don't forget you can keep up with us on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, just edit really anywhere you want to, so go check out those apps. Hey, Kevin, is there anything that you want to say before we end this wonderful episode?
No, just one other little thing. Again, I will be at CES next month in just a couple weeks, so hopefully I can run into a few listeners out there as I'm going around checking out different booths and areas and attending press meetings and all that good stuff. I'm really looking forward to it.
He likes hugs. Make sure you just run up and give him a big hug.
Huggy time.
He'd be happy pandy face. So CES, it's a big deal, Consumer Electronics Show. It's going to be going down in Las Vegas, so Las Vegas, Nevada, and America here. And I think Kevin, you're going to have a great time out there. And I think, you and Gus, right? You and Gus are going, right?
Yes, Gus is still scheduled to go. So. Yeah.
So, I think you guys are going to have a wonderful time. I think it's going to be great. And again, if you are listening to the show and you are going, please let us know so that we can at least, say hey or something, whatever. Right. But thank you again to our guest for the show, Derek Ross. He was a really cool guy, man. He was really, really cool. I hope that our listeners go back and follow or whatever and pay attention to what he has to say. So from myself and Kevin, from our entire crew, consider yourself informed. We're out.